Hey, hi, good morning. This is Charlie Toledo, and the first day of spring, we're at my Alta Heights garden in Napa, California. One of the things that I've done here in this yard is I let it naturalize. This whole area that you're seeing was a lawn because California, of course, as you know, the last 10 years has been in a severe drought. And it's not even a drought anymore, but a water crisis. Because this corner lot here has a lot of traffic, I realized I could use this as an educational opportunity for the people that hike and walk and drive by this neighborhood. So the first step was just to let the lawn start growing. I stopped watering everything. So everything you see in this garden has been without water for about 8 years. And you can see how this whole front part of the yard is all dandelion. This is the first bloom. So the yard, unless the neighbors have spread too much poison, will be filled with bees. I do have some other neighbors up the road who are keeping bees. And because I post these pictures on Facebook, he's like, I'll send the girls down for their first breakfast. The dandelion is the first flower of spring, and that's the first food for the bees coming out of hibernation. And just like spinach, you can cut the leaves, you can eat them raw, you can eat the root. The flower, it's all edible, high in vitamin C. And what's happened this year that's very exciting is all these beautiful wildflowers came up. This is a beautiful lavender. You can see how it's naturalized. This was one small lavender bush. And this is one of the things that was planted here 20 years ago when I moved here. But I've just allowed it to grow, just cutting it back at the end of the season. And it's just spreading into a natural hedge. Lavender, again, is what we could call a medicinal. The smell of it releases endorphins. You can eat the flower, the leaf, make it into teas or sachets. It repels, it's a natural insect repellent. So I'm just going to give a little perspective here, how tall this mallow is. I'm assuming that this mallow might grow to be 4 or 5 feet. Right now it's probably about 3 feet. And it's just all a naturalized hedge. That's just amazing. I've never seen, I'm really familiar. This is a really common, quote, weed, but it looks beautiful. This is a weed that grows along all the highways, but this is that edible plant. We're going to take a view at it. I've never seen one this big and this beautiful. Again, this just volunteered, allowed it to grow, and it's grown into this beautiful hedge-like plant that becomes edible. It's remedial to the soil. It's actually helping the soil to heal from having gravel and a lot of foot traffic. So another thing I want to mention about the yard, especially this roadside area, that when I stopped watering, I stopped mowing. And I just let everything grow. So the longer that the grass seed, the oat and the common seeds, rye, that people use in lawns, the higher and taller it grows, the deeper the roots grow. So what I was doing was allowing it just to grow without cutting to see how tall it would get, because that tells us about the health of the soil. The yard is along a busy road, and between the road, the house, I've planted 4 cedar trees. Incense cedars are really good tree to have in an urban setting. Every day of the year, they leach out heavy metals from the air. This is the lemon tree. Again, the lemon lived without water for 10 years. I don't water it at all. It's a Meyer lemon. So if it's harvested carefully, it will provide lemons all year round. And then just in front of the lemon is the Japanese maple. And that was just planted. It's going into its second year right now. And so that was something I was watering a little bit over the summer. And it made it through the winter. It's early spring. It's just beginning to leaf out. The green in front of the Japanese maple, that's all wild poppies. So we see a little bit, there's 1 or 2 poppies that have opened up, but that whole meadow between where we're standing and that little Japanese maple tree, that little brush of purple, is all poppies. You can see how now, without the fence and everything growing so beautifully, the neighbors and people hiking by stop a lot and just stare at the yard, because it's such a different thing from the Western model. The Euro model is to have that lawn, and some of the smallest areas have this little patch of green that they fertilize, which means poison, and then they mow it and cut it and all this tending into something that really is uninhabitable for insects and birds. That was just a little oak that I let grow. It was a volunteer oak, acorn. It's going into shock from the severe pruning that my neighbors gave it. Hopefully it's going to recover. It was giving frost protection to the lemon tree and the persimmon. It's a natural way to create frost protection in a yard, especially with oak. They have a really wide canopy, and they will protect it from frost. This is a live oak, so it usually has leaves year-round on it. So it's a really good frost protection. In the summer, it creates a shade area. That was really dense shade in that corner. This is naturalized mint. Again, no watering. It grows really full. It kind of fills those boxes up, and then at the end of the season, we just chop it down or use the mint for teas or salads. So this is a really easy way to surround yourself with food, medicine, and natural beauty. This is a succulent that I planted in a pot, but it's grown here so long I don't water it, and it goes really dormant in the summer. It pulls in and gets really small, but now in the winter, after we've had a little rain, it's just an amazing succulent, really hardy. And the sour grass, what I call sour grass, oxalic, is a weedy plant, but that also is medicinal, high in vitamin C. It's called sour grass. My grandkids love it. And again, that's kind of like a candy, just like those sour candies. It's high in vitamin C. The flower's edible. A lot of kids and adults do like it, so they're free to eat it. This yard is really kid-friendly. That kids can go, they can eat the parsley, the dandelions, the anise is really good. I was telling some little kids that were here, the anise is nature's candy. It's sweet, flavorful, and every part of it is edible. Those anise plants, there's about 8 of them there. They will grow about 8 feet tall. They've got a really ferny, a beautiful leaf, and then even when they go to seed, they're just amazing. So last year, some of that naturalized anise, the anise every year gets bigger. The roots go deeper, so even as it grows, it's energizing the soil. But this is the apple tree. I want to focus on that. It's been pruned this winter. We prune it maybe every other year. But again, Martine, the gardener that helps me out here, he has done a beautiful job, just clearing out the branches and the internal, giving that palm expression of the main branches with a within harvest reach canopy of the tree. And what I said to my granddaughter once, she said, "What, that tree's dead?" And I said, "Oh no, that tree's sleeping." She goes, "What's it doing while it's sleeping?" I said, "Well, that tree is dreaming of apples." It's probably about 40 years old. Again, that's living without any water. Call it the Meadow. And you can see how after 6 years of kind of self-selecting what grows here and what doesn't, it's a bounty of natural medicinals and wildflowers and edible food.